Your attention is the first territory you must conquer, because whatever controls your attention eventually controls your decisions, your emotions, and your direction. Most men lose power long before they lose a battle. They lose it every time they allow noise, provocation, envy, distraction, and meaningless opinions to enter their mind without permission. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who cannot guard his own focus will eventually be ruled by forces he does not see. The same is true for you. Every notification you obey, every argument you chase, every insult you replay, and every person you constantly watch is taking a portion of your mental energy. And energy scattered in 10 directions becomes weakness. You do not need more motivation. You need stricter control over what deserves your mind. Powerful men are not interested in everything. They are selective. They observe without absorbing. They listen without surrendering. They notice disrespect without allowing it to hijack the mission. This is where dark psychology becomes useful. Understand that some people will deliberately provoke you because a distracted version of you is easier to control than a focused one. They may trigger your pride, jealousy, anger, or insecurity simply to make you react. Never give them that privilege. Your attention must become expensive. If something does not strengthen your position, sharpen your mind, protect your future, or move you toward your ambition, learn to withdraw from it without explanation. Silence is often stronger than reaction. Indifference is often more powerful than argument. Focus is often more intimidating than aggression. From this moment forward, stop allowing the world to decide what enters your mind. Guard your attention like a ruler guards his kingdom. Comment, "My mind belongs to me." Because once you control what deserves your attention, you stop being emotionally available to every distraction designed to weaken you. Number 2. Actions reveal the man you are becoming. Your intentions mean nothing if your actions keep betraying them. You can tell yourself that you are disciplined, ambitious, focused, and different from the men around you, but the world does not judge the promises you make in your head. It judges what you repeatedly do. Machiavelli understood that reputation is built through visible patterns, not private fantasies, and your life follows the same law. Every action is a vote for the man you are becoming. Every time you delay what must be done, you train yourself to hesitate. Every time you choose comfort over responsibility, you teach your mind that weakness will be tolerated. Every time you speak when silence would have been stronger, react when patience would have been smarter, or abandon a difficult task because your mood changed, you weaken your own authority over yourself. This is why powerful men treat action differently. They do not wait for motivation. They move because the decision has already been made. They understand that moods are temporary, but consequences remain. Dark psychology teaches you that people study behavior more than words. They notice whether you follow through. They notice whether pressure changes you. They notice whether your boundaries disappear when challenged. They notice whether your confidence collapses when approval is removed. Your actions are constantly teaching others how seriously to take you. So stop making declarations and start creating evidence. If you say you are building something, build it quietly. If you decide to leave a destructive situation, leave without repeatedly returning. If you establish a boundary, enforce it without apologizing for its existence. If you choose a goal, work when nobody is watching. The most dangerous form of confidence is not loud. It is proven. It comes from knowing that when you tell yourself you will do something, you obey. That self-trust changes the way you walk, speak, decide, and endure pressure. You become harder to manipulate because you no longer need external encouragement to move. You become harder to stop because obstacles cannot negotiate with a disciplined routine. Your actions must become colder than your excuses and stronger than your temporary emotions. Do not ask yourself what you feel like doing. Ask what the strongest version of you would do next. Then do it before weakness begins negotiating. A man becomes formidable when his behavior is no longer controlled by comfort. Master your actions, and eventually your results will announce what your words never needed to explain. Number 3. Ambition must become stronger than comfort. Ambition becomes dangerous when it stops being a fantasy and becomes a standard you refuse to betray. Most men say they want more, but their habits reveal that they only want more when it is convenient. They want strength without sacrifice, wealth without patience, respect without discipline, and victory without enduring the seasons where nobody notices their effort. Machiavelli would have recognized this weakness immediately. A man who desires power but cannot tolerate discomfort will always be controlled by someone who can. Your ambition must therefore become stronger than your appetite for ease. You must want your future more than you want another hour of distraction, another meaningless night, another excuse, another moment of approval from people who are going nowhere. Real ambition is not loud. It does not need to announce itself every morning. It becomes visible through restraint. You begin rejecting what weaker versions of yourself once accepted. You stop wasting energy proving yourself to people who have no influence over your destination. You stop confusing movement with progress. You become strategic. Dark psychology teaches that people often reveal their limits by what they are willing to sacrifice for immediate comfort. If someone can tempt you away from your goals with attention, pleasure, praise, anger, or entertainment, then your ambition is still negotiable. And anything negotiable can be taken from you. Make your mission expensive to interrupt. Learn to disappear from situations that drain momentum. Learn to disappoint people who expect constant access to you. Learn to endure being misunderstood while you build something they cannot yet see. Do not become obsessed with appearing successful. Become obsessed with becoming capable. Build skills. Build patience. Build leverage. Build a mind that can survive slow progress without abandoning the mission. There will be days when ambition feels like isolation because growth creates distance between who you were and who you are becoming. Accept it. Not everyone can follow you into the life you are trying to create. Some relationships survive only while you remain predictable. The moment you become disciplined, selective, and serious, certain people will call you distant. Let them. Your future cannot be sacrificed to preserve everyone else's comfort. Comment, "My ambition is non-negotiable." Then prove it privately. Because once ambition becomes stronger than temptation, delay, and approval, you stop living according to circumstances and begin forcing circumstances to adapt to the man you have decided to become. Number 4. Control your anger before someone else uses it. Anger is not always weakness, but uncontrolled anger is one of the easiest weaknesses for another person to exploit. The moment someone learns exactly what provokes you, they learn where your emotional strings are attached. Machiavelli understood that a man who can be pushed into reckless action is never fully in control of his own position. That is why your anger must become disciplined, deliberate, and difficult to access. You do not need to become emotionless. You need to stop giving every insult permission to command your behavior. Weak men explode because they think immediate reaction proves strength. Strong men understand that reaction without calculation is often surrender disguised as aggression. Someone disrespects you, and you instantly respond. Someone challenges your pride, and suddenly your entire focus disappears. Someone questions your ability, and now you are wasting hours trying to prove something to a person who may not even matter. This is how people pull you away from your purpose. They do not always defeat you with greater intelligence. Sometimes they simply make you angry enough to defeat yourself. Dark psychology reveals a brutal truth. Provocateurs are often searching for predictability. If they know exactly how you respond under pressure, they can prepare for your reaction before you even make it. Become harder to read. When anger rises, create distance between the emotion and the decision. Observe what happened. Ask what the other person wants from your reaction. Ask whether responding improves your position or merely satisfies your ego for 5 minutes. The goal is not to suppress anger until it poisons you. The goal is to convert it. Turn humiliation into preparation. Turn betrayal into awareness. Turn disrespect into boundaries. Turn frustration into disciplined action. Let anger become information instead of instruction. Sometimes the most powerful response is confrontation. Sometimes it is silence. Sometimes it is removing access. Sometimes it is simply succeeding so completely that the original insult becomes irrelevant. The key is that you choose the response rather than having it chosen for you by emotion. A calm man is difficult to manipulate because nobody knows which button will make him abandon reason. He can feel rage without allowing rage to hold the steering wheel. He can stand under pressure without revealing every thought crossing his mind. Train yourself until your face remains calm while your mind calculates. Train yourself until disrespect makes you clearer, not reckless. Master your anger, and you remove one of the easiest weapons the world can use against you. The man who controls his temper controls the moment, and the man who controls the moment is already harder to defeat. Number 5. Become difficult to read and even harder to distract. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. If people know exactly what makes you angry, what makes you insecure, what makes you chase, what makes you explain yourself, and what makes you abandon your priorities, then they already possess a map of your weaknesses. Machiavelli understood that power is often protected through restraint. You do not reveal every intention. You do not announce every move. You do not expose every emotion simply because you feel it. You learn to keep parts of yourself inaccessible. This does not mean becoming fake. It means becoming disciplined enough to understand that not everyone deserves complete access to your mind. Most men talk too much when they are excited, explain too much when they are doubted, and react too quickly when they feel disrespected. Then they wonder why others learn how to manipulate them. Dark psychology becomes dangerous only when you remain unaware of your own patterns. The person who knows you crave approval can control you with praise and withdrawal. The person who knows you fear rejection can control you with distance. The person who knows your ego cannot tolerate disrespect can provoke you into foolish decisions. The person who knows you desperately want to be understood can keep you trapped in endless explanations. You must become less available to these traps. Stop showing everyone exactly where your emotional pressure points are. When someone pulls away, do not immediately chase. When someone criticizes you, do not immediately defend yourself. When someone attempts to provoke you, do not immediately reveal that they succeeded. Observe first, think second. Act only when action serves your position. This is not passivity, it is command. Your silence should create uncertainty where your old reactions created certainty. Your discipline should make people realize they can no longer predict you using the weaker version of yourself they once knew. At the same time, protect yourself from distraction. Every distraction is not accidental. Some people will constantly bring drama into your life because your attention gives them importance. Others will invite you into pointless competition because they benefit when you forget your own path. Refuse. You do not need to win every argument, respond to every message, correct every misunderstanding, or prove your strength every time someone doubts you. Sometimes the strongest move is continuing forward while other people exhaust themselves trying to pull you sideways. Comment: "My energy is no longer easy to access." Then live by it. Keep your plans quieter. Keep your emotions governed. Keep your ambition visible through results rather than announcements. Let people wonder what you are building. Let them misunderstand your silence. Let them discover that the old methods of gaining your attention no longer work. The man who cannot be easily provoked, distracted, flattered, or frightened becomes difficult to manipulate. And when your attention, actions, ambition, and anger all begin answering to the same disciplined mind, you become something far more dangerous than aggressive. You become controlled. Number 6. Build a mind that does not need permission. The moment you stop needing permission to become who you know you must become, your entire life begins to change. Most men are not trapped by lack of ability. They are trapped by the invisible need to be approved, understood, accepted, and reassured before they move. They want someone to tell them the risk is safe, the decision is correct, the ambition is reasonable, and the path will not make anyone uncomfortable. But Machiavelli understood that power rarely waits for unanimous approval. A man who requires everyone's agreement before acting will eventually become a servant to the opinions of people who have no responsibility for his future. You must break that dependency. You must learn to think independently, decide carefully, and move without constantly looking over your shoulder for validation. This does not mean becoming arrogant or refusing wise counsel. It means knowing the difference between advice and permission. Advice sharpens your judgment. Permission weakens your authority over yourself. Dark psychology teaches that approval can become a leash when you crave it too deeply. People quickly discover what you need emotionally. If praise makes you work harder, they can withhold it. If acceptance makes you compliant, they can threaten rejection. If being liked matters more than being respected, they can pressure you into choices that serve them instead of you. That is why your self-command must become stronger than your hunger for applause. You should be able to hear criticism without collapsing, praise without becoming intoxicated, rejection without losing direction, and misunderstanding without rushing to defend your entire identity. The strongest man in the room is often the one who does not need the room to agree with him. He listens, he observes, he adjusts when evidence proves him wrong. But he does not abandon his principles merely because resistance appears. This is where masculine stoicism becomes useful. You accept that discomfort is part of independence. Some people will call you selfish when you stop overextending yourself. Some will call you cold when you stop explaining every decision. Some will call you arrogant when you stop seeking their approval. Let words remain words. Your task is not to control every interpretation of you. Your task is to control your conduct. Ask yourself one question before every major decision. Am I choosing this because it is right for my direction or because I am afraid of how others will react? That question will expose more weakness than most men are willing to confront. Once you see it, correct it. Build privately. Decide deliberately. Keep promises to yourself. Become the man who can stand alone for a season rather than betray himself for belonging. Comment: I do not need permission to rise. Remember it when doubt arrives, because the day your mind stops begging the world for approval is the day manipulation becomes far more difficult. You become harder to guilt, harder to pressure, harder to distract, and harder to redirect. And once your decisions begin coming from principle instead of permission, you stop living as a reflection of other people's expectations and begin moving like a man who owns his future. Number 7. Turn pressure into an advantage. Pressure does not create your character. It exposes the systems you built before the pressure arrived. When everything is calm, almost anyone can look disciplined, confident, patient, and in control. The truth appears when the plan breaks, the money tightens, the relationship changes, the opportunity disappears, or someone challenges you when you least expect it. That is where weak men become reactive and strong men become precise. Machiavelli understood that unstable conditions reveal who can truly govern himself. If pressure makes you abandon your principles, then those principles were never deeply rooted. If one insult can destroy your focus, one setback can kill your ambition, or one betrayal can make you reckless, then the outside world still has too much control over your internal state. Your goal is to become the man who gets quieter when conditions become louder. Not passive, not afraid, focused. When others panic, you observe. When others rush, you calculate. When others reveal everything they feel, you protect your position. This is one of the coldest advantages you can develop because most people are predictable under stress. Fear makes them speak too much. Anger makes them move too quickly. Ego makes them reject useful information. Desperation makes them accept terrible terms. Learn to recognize these patterns in yourself before you begin studying them in others. Dark psychology is useless if your own emotions remain easy to trigger. Under pressure, slow down your first reaction. Ask what actually changed. Ask what remains under your control. Ask what decision still protects your long-term position. Then move. You do not need to solve everything immediately. You need to avoid making one emotional decision that creates 10 additional problems. Train yourself to tolerate uncertainty without filling it with panic. Train yourself to hear bad news without turning it into a catastrophe. Train yourself to face rejection without converting it into a judgment about your worth. Pressure becomes your advantage when it destroys the concentration of everyone around you but strengthens yours. This is where controlled attention, disciplined actions, serious ambition, and governed anger begin working together. You stop asking why the situation is difficult and start asking what the difficulty is revealing. Maybe it is exposing a weak habit. Maybe it is exposing an unreliable person. Maybe it is exposing a flaw in your strategy. Good. Use the information. Do not waste pain by refusing to learn from it. The world becomes much harder to use against you when setbacks stop producing predictable reactions. Comment: pressure makes me precise. Remember that when your next difficult moment arrives. Do not perform strength. Practice it. Breathe. Observe. Protect your position. Make the next intelligent move. A man who can think clearly while everyone else is losing control does not merely survive pressure. He begins using it as a weapon against chaos itself. Number 8. Discipline your desire before it disciplines you. Desire is powerful, but undisciplined desire makes a man predictable. The moment you need something too badly, you begin negotiating against yourself. Approval, money, attention, status, pleasure, revenge, recognition. If someone discovers what you cannot resist, they discover where your judgment becomes weak. Machiavelli understood that the man who cannot govern his appetites can eventually be governed through them. That is why self-mastery is not only about controlling anger or forcing yourself to work. It is also about refusing to become a slave to whatever feels good, looks impressive, or promises immediate relief. You must learn to want something without allowing that desire to command you. Want success, but do not become desperate for appearances. Want respect, but do not beg for acknowledgement. Want connection, but do not abandon your standards because you fear being alone. Want money, but do not sacrifice your judgment for quick rewards. The strongest position is the ability to walk away from what you once believed you desperately needed. Dark psychology works through attachment. People can sense desperation. They notice when you need their response, their approval, their cooperation, or their presence. The more desperately you need something from them, the more leverage you hand over. This does not mean becoming detached from everything. It means becoming emotionally stable enough that your values remain intact whether you receive what you want or not. A disciplined man can desire without chasing blindly. He can pursue without begging. He can compete without becoming obsessed. He can lose without destroying himself. That level of control makes him difficult to manipulate because temptation no longer bypasses his judgment. Start watching your impulses. Notice what makes you abandon your routine. Notice what makes you spend recklessly, speak carelessly, chase unnecessarily, or compromise standards you claimed mattered. Every repeated impulse is teaching you something about where your self-command is still weak. Do not hate yourself for it. Study it, then strengthen it. Delay gratification. Create distance between wanting and acting. Ask whether the thing in front of you serves your future or merely satisfies your present emotion. Most people ruin long-term power for short-term relief. Do the opposite. Become willing to endure temporary discomfort to protect permanent advantage. You do not need everything now. You do not need everyone to choose you. You do not need every opportunity. You need the clarity to recognize what actually strengthens your position. Comment: I control what I desire. Let that become a rule. Because when attention is controlled, actions are disciplined, ambition is directed, anger is governed, and desire is restrained, you become increasingly difficult to influence through temptation. And the man who can walk away from what others cannot resist possesses a kind of freedom that few people ever develop.